hello. Thank you all for coming to Chats with Mac. Tonight is our part two of our mental health discussion. Tonight we have with us our moderator, Miss Clark, and we have our panel guest, Phillip. He's going to introduce himself in a minute. Phillip is going to give us a little bit of insight into his mental health journey. And if you guys want to ask any questions, if you have any comments, please engage with us. Also, if you come back and you watch this on YouTube land or Facebook world, just put hashtag replay, say hello, let us know you were here so we can respond and thank you for coming out and chatting with us at a later time. All right, Phillip, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to you. Introduce yourself and you can just go right into your story from there.
All righty, hold 1 second. Let me share it to my page. um,
Of course. Do that. It doesn't
mm,
look like it's not recording.
guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is the first time I publicly spoke about my mental health journey. A few people know, but my journey started way back in 2020. Um, the beginning of the pandemic, I was, excuse me if I pause because I try to find the right words to say, but I was the person that heard everybody else's feelings and emotions and anxiousness and nervousness about the pandemic and what's going on. And um, some of my at my workplace, some of my employees that I serve, they were always telling me every single day about how they felt nervous, how they were afraid, and and how they just didn't know what was going on back in 2020. And I didn't realize that I didn't have an outlet to get that off me. I'm a person that always helps someone, that always listens to someone's story, that always wants to give advice, always help, just be there and help someone's day get brighter. But I didn't realize that that was actually tearing me down on the inside. I started
Mm-hmm.
having heart palpitations. I started having not being able to sleep at night. So um, one morning I woke up to go to work and I couldn't breathe. Um, and I pushed past it. I logged on, but then I called my boss and I just broke down crying and said I just couldn't do it. And and I'm thankful to have a boss who is invested in you personally, because she told me to go to the doctor. I told her I couldn't breathe. My left arm was numb, and so I went to the emergency room, stayed there 8 hours. They did all types of tests, EKG, stress tests, all that stuff, 8 hours in the middle of the pandemic, the very first part of the pandemic, sitting in the emergency room. My anxiety was on 10,000. About, I think about 11 o'clock at night, the doctor came and saw me. And she came to me and she put her hands together like this, was like, we did everything. You're not having a heart attack. You're not having a stroke. She said, are you thinking about harming yourself? And I said, what? She said, it seems to me like you're in the middle of a panic attack.
Mm.
And I felt really, to be transparent, I felt really, really dumb that I'm having a panic attack. You know, this doesn't happen to somebody like me. Um, but when I came to realize I was feeling some type of way about the pandemic myself, I was nervous, I was anxious, I was scared to go outside. And to be spiritual, I didn't have no one to tell that to. I didn't want to tell anybody about that because I felt like they would judge me. I'm an elder in the church. And why do you feel like, this? Why do you feel anxious? Why do you feel scared? I couldn't even tell my wife. Laying next to my wife, I couldn't tell her how I was feeling. So all of that bogged down, exploded into a panic attack. And the doctor
Mm-hmm.
said, she suggested that I should go talk to someone. And I'm thankful for my job because we have this benefit that's free. It's called Minds and Associates, where you can get connected to a counselor. And I did it for one session and I thought I was cured. After that one session, it was done. Didn't go back. Fast forward to 2020, 2021. At the end of 2021, November to be exact, um, I had a breakdown emotionally and mentally. Um, Forgive me, guys. Um,
Don't
I
ask for
was,
forgiveness.
I was not
You
myself.
are doing fine.
Um, I was not myself at home. I was snapping at my wife. I was short. I was overwhelmed. I was everybody. I was everything to everybody. I was a husband. I was a son. I was a worship leader. I was a confidant. I was a counselor, but I wasn't Philip. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
came and dumped their stuff on me, and I allowed it to because I expected. I thought that's what they expected, and I had a breakdown. My pastor asked me to preach a service, and I said, "Okay, I'll do it. I do it." I couldn't study. I couldn't pray. Nothing was happening, and I felt the shame calling my pastor and telling her that I couldn't do it because she asked me to. In that moment, I made a huge mistake at my job, and my job was in jeopardy because I didn't have clarity. I talked to my boss. Uh, she told me, she said, "Hey, take it today, and I want you to decide if this is still fit for you." And that hurt me to my core. And she said, "If it is, I want you to come back and tell me what are you going to do to change how you show up." And I had to
Mm-hmm.
really think about what I'm going to do to make sure that number one, I'm better. So I looked at everything I
Mm-hmm.
was involved in. I was involved in church. I was a praise and worship leader. I was a youth director. I was an elder. I was on the media team. Uh, at work, I was involved in a lot of different things at work, and I had other things personally. I had to strip away everything because I wasn't allowing myself to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm thankful that the people around me, when I came to the realization, they supported me. Talked to my pastor. She released me from praise and worship. She released me from youth ministry. She released me from some other areas because I was overwhelmed. At work, I started to say no. Um, I took full advantage of the benefits of having a counseling session at my job, and I made
Mm-hmm.
a conscious decision to not just go one time. And I'm still in therapy because of that. Um, and I talked to my wife, and she said that she could feel that I was always on edge. My journey is not over. I still have some times where I have to force myself to go to therapy because
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in therapy, I'm an emotional wreck. Things come up. I try to be the strong man, but this therapist know how to pull out emotions. And I realized that as a man, I thought that I could handle it on my own. And I'm gonna say this, and I want you guys to hear me when I say this, and don't please don't stone me. As a Christian, I thought that prayer was going to help me alone,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't. But I sought out a Christian therapist who also believes in the power of prayer, but also believes in the power of handling things right. And one of the things that I am doing in therapy is setting boundaries, learning how to say no and accept it, learning how not to be everything to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that my therapist asked me was, why do you feel like you have to be that for everybody? I couldn't give the answer. I said I thought that's what it was expected of me. So as a man, as a black man, I realized I put everything before myself. I put go ahead.
I just want to pause you right there because I want you to finish, but I don't want to forget the things that I want to touch on, and I want this to be able to be engaging for everyone. We're gonna let Miss Clark read the comments also after, and we just want everybody to know that if they came on later, to just be engaging with us and to ask questions and things like that. Can we talk about how you said that you felt dumb and ashamed, and that someone like you shouldn't be going through this? Like, what what in your past or what in your present made you feel those emotions when you were going through?
Because I had this persona of who I thought people needed Philip to be. Philip
Okay.
talked about his faith. Philip is strong-willed. Philip is
Mm-hmm.
stubborn. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought people needed me to be perfect. And I felt ashamed because I said, how did I allow myself to get here? Where a doctor professional is questioning, am I okay? And am I going to do anything to myself? I felt like I let a lot of people down because I had that panic attack.
Um, so, is the shame coming from your faith, or is it coming from family?
It's coming from me because people that I opened up to were supportive,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was letting them down because I wasn't strong enough. I felt like people were coming to me because they felt like I could handle things, and me being in this place, they may not come to me and they may not have anybody else. So it
So,
was all
go ahead. I'm
me.
sorry.
It was all me. Yeah.
So, when you say strong enough, what does that mean? Like physically strong, mentally? Because I believe that, and this is just my comment, that the strength came when you asked for help.
As a person who doesn't like to ask for help, that weighed on me. I shouldn't be the one asking for help. I should be the one that's lending out the help.
That was your initial thoughts and
That was my
feelings
perception.
going, like, so it's like we talk about the beginning of the journey, right? Before the therapy. So those were your initial thoughts, those were your first feelings, and the I'm gonna go ahead and say my own personal thing with the strength of a man, whereas you feel like you have to be strong and you can't show emotions because you're a man, and if you do, then that makes you a weak man. Um, but that's not true. That's not always true
Mhm.
because men have emotions, men have feelings, men have things that they've been through in life that's caused them traumas,
Mhm.
that has affected them in ways in which they feel as though they can't talk, because if I do talk to somebody or if I do tell somebody, then like you said, you're not a strong man, you're weak, because you had to go and talk to a professional, or even sometimes tears can be perceived as, no, that is not weak in the least bit.
Mhm.
You're strong because you're getting up here and you're telling your story. You're getting up here, you're letting it out. You're telling other people it's okay. It is
Mhm.
okay, because, like we said last night, we say the statement all the time: mental health is real. And you weren't on last night, and some of the things that we were saying last night are some of the things that you're actually bringing up right now. You're
Mhm.
talking about, we talked about how in the Black and brown communities, we think of it as a sign of weakness when we have to go seek out professional help. And we talked about the being ashamed of going and making that first step. We did have a comment. Did you see the comment?
Yes. So Miss Snowden said that therapy is the mirror we didn't know we need.
Mhm.
I want to say that uh, all your actions are learned behaviors.
Mhm.
All the actions that you portrayed were learned behaviors. We don't allow our little boys to cry. We don't allow our little boys to whine and say, how they feel, when it's not really whining, is expressing that they are going through an emotional thing and they need to
Mm-hmm.
express it, but they don't know how to because they are little boys at the time. So it's a learned behavior that you learn to hold in all your emotions, and you learn to not show that you need help, or even that you don't ask for help, because
Mhm.
it's a learned behavior.
I think it's also, to be honest, therapy helped me. It was pride
Mm-hmm.
because I felt good helping other people.
Mhm.
But when it came to me needing help, I was like, no, I'm good, or I'll
Mm-hmm.
hold it in. It was,
Mm-hmm.
it was. I don't want anybody to have a not good perception of who Philip is,
I'm
and
gonna
not
piggyback off of
realizing,
you.
huh?
I'm gonna piggyback off of you because I will honestly tell you I'm a prideful person.
Mhm.
And I will say that the asking for help piece is, for me, it's not even to, it's, I don't want nobody in my business. I don't want nobody to know I'm down and
Mhm.
I'm not up. I don't want nobody to know that I'm struggling and I'm going through. And a lot of times that I'm learning for myself, it's because of the people that I have been around, the people
Mhm.
that are the circles that I'm running in. Because you said something that just hit so home to me, is that everybody was dumping on you, right? And you didn't have anybody that you felt like you could go and talk to, because you didn't make that first step to say, or they didn't even make it. I ain't even gonna put it on people. You didn't make that first step to say, "Hey, this is what was going on," because I didn't make that first step. But you said that you had a awesome support system. They supported you as soon when you opened up and you told them that you were going through things. So,
Here's the thing: I had people that I shared surface stuff with,
mhm,
but I did not want to go deep because that how are they going to feel about me if I tell them that I'm struggling today with, even in the beginning of the pandemic, with even going outside?
mhm,
That played heavily on me as a Christian who has faith in God. I could not tell anybody that I was afraid to even walk my dog because I didn't know. And I preach and I sing about God doing anything. God is a God, a faithful God. God is a healer. So I'm like,
mhm,
if I tell people that I
mhm.
don't feel like he's going to do it, then they're going to say, well, are you a real Christian? Do you truly believe in God? And I don't want to get, if I don't want to get too spiritual, but at night, the enemy, and I heard the enemy saying, ain't nobody going to ever believe anything you say anymore if you say that you feel this way.
It
I
was a
couldn't even tell my
distraction.
wife.
It was a
Yes.
distraction, and it was a setup for you to keep your mouth closed, because there's something greater that needs to come up out of you. So, um, and it took you a minute to recognize it, but you recognize, you
It took a
getting
year
up,
and a
you know
half.
what you need to do. It don't, but you know what? God's timing is everything,
Mhm,
right? Like you had to be set up for the next step in your life, and
mhm,
then even you said you had to stop doing some things, and you had to stop doing those things so that you could do the next thing. What's next
mhm,
for Phillip, right?
mhm,
I don't want to get off all of that, but I just wanted to talk about, because I started writing things down because I didn't want to, forget what I was saying. So, or what I wanted to ask you. So if you can remember where you went or where you were in your story or your journey, could you please go ahead and pick up from there?
So where I'm at now in my journey is I'm in the process. And I'm okay with being in the process. I felt like in 2020, one session was good enough and I'm fine for the rest of my life. But now I'm okay with saying I'm not done yet. Now I look forward to going to therapy. Now I look forward to going to, and what therapy helped me see is even the little steps I'm taking, celebrate those wins,
Mm-hmm.
even when you're still struggling.
Mm-hmm.
No. And um, it's funny that my therapist's name is Dr. Clark as well. So, uh, but I shout out to her because even when I have a tough time, she allows me to sit in that and be okay with that. And now what I can do is I can help others truly. Before therapy, I was telling everybody that came to me in my job, use the therapy session that we have here free. I was telling them because that was basically part of a script. Let me be honest. I would say that because that was the right thing to do. But now I'm
Right.
advocating. I'm advocating. This is helpful to you. And my journey is I'm in the process. And because I'm in the journey and the process, my mental state is manifested in my physical.
Mm-hmm.
I'm becoming more healthier. I'm becoming more attentive to my wife. I I'm less angry, less upset, and I'm finding joy. All still while praising God, all still while praying, all still while being a Christian, but having help with a counselor. My pastor told me God can do anything, but if he made counselors, why do we shy away from that? If he made therapists, why do we shy away from that?
Now everybody know you wasn't on this call yesterday or this mental health discussion yesterday. But I sure said something along those lines of God gave us wisdom, right? And because he gave us wisdom and not only that, like he gave us people to help us to because he knows all, right? And so we can't do it all by ourselves, even though we would love to say that we've done it by ourselves.
Mhm.
But the wealthiest person or the person that's high up or whatever, and nobody got to where they got to by themselves.
Right.
Everybody had a helping hand. Everybody got help to get there, and they still getting help to get there and to stay there, right?
Mhm.
Why, when it comes to our mental health and our health, we are so gung ho on. Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not telling nobody my business. I'm not doing it. Why? You know what I'm saying? He put
Mhm.
people here to help us. I understand that there are barriers for some people in getting the help and that we are working through those things and trying to make it where, we can cut those barriers or remove those barriers to get people there. And I just find that it's all lining up. Like I just felt like I had to say something. Like you wasn't even on yesterday. And you're definitely saying some of the things that we have been saying.
Mhm. I to answer your question, why? And I'm this is just Philip's opinion because we in the Black and Brown community have been so conditioned to say we made it on our own, to have pride in what we've done, that if we say we need help, it seems like the success really is tainted. It's really not our success because somebody had to help us. But if we look at it truly, we're still made it on our own because we made the conscious decision to get help, to seek someone that knows just a little bit more than we do.
Go ahead. I gotta I'm trying to do fix a Facebook live. So go ahead.
But no, that was my question. My answer to your question is, we we've been conditioned to do it on our own. That if we need the help, and if we, it seems like, okay, we let our people down, we let ourselves down. Um, so we do it on our own until we can't do it no more. And then when we can't do it no more, that's when crazy things started to happen.
So I know that we can't go back and change our past,
Mhm.
but going forward, when you recognize um, the signs that are coming, what do you do different?
One of the things that therapy has taught me is, or what I do in therapy is I have homework assignments every session. And one of the homework assignments that is so easy but is so hard is called, my doctor called it mirror work. Mirror work, where you go in the mirror and you talk to yourself and you give yourself permission to feel however you feel. And you stare at that mirror until you're okay with feeling the way you feel. And each session I leave with a another step of self work, self reflection. So that way, when those triggers happen, I can go. I have something that can overcome that. The problem with me was I realized triggers, but I didn't have the ammo to overcome that. I know it'd be overwhelmed, but I didn't have anything to overcome me being overwhelmed.
Okay. So in today, like um, not just the youth, but even just men, period. Um, what would be one of the suggestions that you would have for them to help them?
Seek help. You can't be a good father. You can't be a good husband. You can't be a good man if you haven't dealt with the things that you're dealing with. If you always put it on the back burner, you're not 100% in any relationship that you desire to have.
It's good. And for the little ones, when they are feeling a certain type of way, what would you say to them?
Find someone that you trust to share. A lot of times, children don't feel heard, so they shut down or they act out. Find someone that you can trust. If it's a, or if you can't trust somebody, write it out. Write it out and give it to the person. That will help. And I think a lot of times we as adults have to change our mindset of how children are dealing with things today. And that sounds so old saying that. But but kids these days are dealing with so much stuff around them. And if we as adults and parents and guardians and leaders or whoever you are, if we don't create that vulnerable space for them, they're going to grow up to be adults just like us who are trying to fix things that could have been fixed in childhood, or not fixed, but um, address things that could have been addressed in childhood. So it's two way. It's us as adults listening. Sometimes they don't need to listen to get response. They just need to listen and pour it out. Um, I had 2 young people. They they were friends, and for some reason their friendship broke up, whatever. And they were trying to get back together. And somebody said, "I even unfollowed you on Instagram," and I laughed. I was like, "Whoa!" But sometimes that is the hurtful thing, and they're dealing with it, and they want somebody to listen to how they feel. That's what I would say to the young people. Find somebody that you can trust, but it's not just the young people, it's us adults. Create that vulnerable space. And I'll speak to the men again. The women that you're connected to wants you to be 100% with them. Want you to be 100% saying, "Bae, listen, I need help." Because they will be your biggest cheerleaders if nobody else be. And if you can't be 100% with the person that you're in a relationship with, then how can you get better?
It's true.
Yeah. But I'm still in my journey.
I'm so glad you're still on your journey. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you found a way um to go back. Um Sometimes we do therapy one time and say, "Oh, I'm good. I got the tools that I
Mhm.
need." And then something else come up and it's like, "I left the tool somewhere. I need somebody to come help me." You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's even just doing it.
Mhm.
Just go and put one foot in front of the other. You know, another thing is that we have to be taught certain things and we have to be willing to learn
Mhm.
because a lot of times we think we know everything. And of course, a lot of times it's majority to pride. Pride is in
Mhm.
our way of getting us into saying, oh, okay, well, you know what, I can't accept help. Or then sometimes it's who the help is coming from, right? I, no, if you doing it, I don't want nothing to do with it. Oh, she can't tell me that. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a, don't fry me, y'all. I'm just saying, even if it's a white person trying to tell us something, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many videos do you see of people being judgmental of what white people are doing? Why we in their business? Why we worried about it in the first place? You know what I'm saying? If it ain't got nothing to do with you and it's not harming anybody, why are we in the business? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then I think a lot of other stuff come from it's because I'm gonna say for me, some of it came from was I used to be that person where I was talking and laughing about him, her, and them. And it wasn't until I went through my own
Mhm.
laughable situation where people can talk about me and they have something to talk about where it humbled me to a point where now I'm just like, I can't be in nobody else's business. I ain't got nothing to say about that. I should have never had nothing to say about it in the first place. I should have never had my mouth on it. Right.
Right.
And so because I went through something to put me somewhere, it taught me to humble myself, right? It taught me to stop talking about people. And because I was the person talking about people, I didn't want to go to anybody for help. I didn't want to go and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this." Um I remember last year sending my mama and them a message saying, "Hey, when I'm in a depressed state, I will send lots of videos to y'all and I'll make lots of jokes and I'll always be laughing because I don't know how to deal with the emotions that I'm going through."
Mhm.
Right? That was a huge step for me to even let them know what my coping mechanism is, or not even a coping thing, but a wall that I was just putting up,
Mhm.
because I didn't want to tell anybody how to get to me. Um, Another thing is I do not like to be hugged when I'm crying because I will break down because of it's the feeling that somebody cares
Mhm.
enough to come and comfort me. I don't
Yeah.
want your comfort because I can do this on my own. I can get through this on my own. I'm strong enough to do this on my own. I don't need your help because I don't want it to come back and say, oh, well, I had to help her. She was struggling. Okay, so what? So what that I'm struggling? Help me.
Right.
Stop talking about me. Stop judging me. And that's another barrier that we have in our community, not just in our community, but in our families. And that bothers me on a whole nother level. That in a family, we're
But
supposed
can
to
I?
be there for each other. We're supposed to help each other. But I'm
Yeah.
afraid to come and talk to you because y'all gonna be laughing at me.
But can I say that I was partially there, but when I open up to those intimately around me, I was surprised at how much support I got from the family, from close friends, because I felt like um, I would say I felt empowered to continue with therapy when I released it to uh, my mom, when I released it to my close friend, uh, and my wife. Every time I'm having breakthrough moments, I'm telling her about it. It's freeing. And one of the things that I would say to those that are struggling with, should I go to therapy? Do it and create that support group, that support around you, because it's freeing to know that people are rooting for you when you are so hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can lean on those people that are rooting for you to win. And as I go back to the beginning of my journey, all it was me. I thought that I processed it this way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now that I know that I have that group surrounding me, even when I still am hard on myself, I can lean on those people that are close to me and they say, keep doing it. I think a lot of
Right.
times we make up things that um because of past situations. And
Mm-hmm.
so we'll say, you know what? I don't want to deal with that because I saw how they acted this way this time around.
Yeah.
So,
Excuse me.
I,
I'll
I think
say,
that sorry. I think that we create that though.
yeah.
Um, because like I said in the beginning, the things that we learn younger in our life.
Hmm.
So and we have seen that. And because we felt it, you know, we have created in our own minds and in our own hearts that this is who I'm going to release this to, and I'm not going to release it to that person. I'm
Hmm.
going to tell Phillip, but I'm not going to tell Marquita. I'm going to tell Marquita, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to tell Phillip, I can't handle this. But then when it's open up, when we open up and realize that our support system is bigger than we ever thought it would be, and that even the response isn't going to be the way that we think the response is going to be. It's just as you said, it's a freedom. It's
Hmm.
a release there because there's no more pressure holding you, so that allows you to be able to release more, that
Hmm.
allows you to have the freedom, even though you still in your head, there will be times where you're like, well, I can't release this because this is just too much for anybody,
Hmm.
you know. But to have that outside source, the doctor, to really be there to hold you through it and to take you through it makes a difference, you know. So I think that we have to create a different environment for our younger generation so that they can feel safe no matter what the situation is. And I say that because I just remember um, being a TA for kindergarten and hearing one of my students say that they don't want to live at 5,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
as time went on, to hear other people said that you close to, or to feel it, it just takes you to a place that you don't want to be, you know. And so even those people that you release to sometimes have to go and get some assistance, help, whatever it is, because then they begin to take on your burden like you took on everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that even in the churches, we have to really start looking at how we teach. Yes, we do have to teach the word, but even in the word, Christ taught where, when people needed to talk, they were able to release,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that he even made a way for it when he began to talk to them. When he would sit down and have a conversation, it was they was releasing and they were being able to have a conversation. So why can't we do that in our churches? Our community feels as though we can't do that because we have to show we have to be stronger than the other communities.
That's right.
Why? We don't have to. We have to be as strong as we are, and we don't have to be stronger than anybody else, but only where our strength will allow us to be.
We were um what is the saying? To be twice as strong. Um what is the saying? Twice as strong to get half as much or something.
Yeah.
And that mentality, it's
We have to work harder to
mhm.
get just where we want to be, but even harder to get to where the other is.
And so we can't show weakness because then we feel like weakness will equate defeat, laziness, all of that stuff. I want to go back to something you said, and going to therapy, and that your group, your support group. You never know who you will inspire to seek help by you going to seek help. If they see someone that's supposed to be strong, supposed to be, got it together, they see them going to get to be better in themselves. Just imagine the influence you have to somebody in your group. Uh, and it's we could be the holdup of not our own freedom of mental freedom, but someone else's as well. Because what you can do is you can take back what you learned and start sharing it with your group. So I am
Um,
now all in. Go ahead. you know,
I was,
I'm just gonna say,
I was just gonna say your thing was twice as good as them to get half of what they have.
mhm.
Was your quote that you were looking for, and
Thank you.
you're so welcome. You're so welcome. That's what I'm here to do. Help. And I
In
want to
real
go back
time.
to something that you said when you was like, "It's me, it's me, it's me." Excuse me. My apostle a lot of times say that the inner me, like inner me, is some of the reason why we go through what we go through.
Mhm.
And I was reading this book, Outwitting the Devil. I tell everybody about it. And it was parts of that in there. It's like we keep ourselves in cycles. We keep ourselves going through certain things, and that's why we continue to go through those things. And that it's the mental. Everything starts in
Mhm.
the mind. Everything starts from a thought, right? And if we don't heal our mind and have tools to help us to heal, like we can't get over a hump. Like because we're going to always keep thinking of the negative things. Like we have to get out of that negative cycle and move into
Mhm.
the positive. Like there are things that we can do to retrain our minds, and I'm all into this thing now, like learning about the reticular activating system. And I was like, what is that? That sounds so weird. What kind of system does that do? What does that do for you? But it's that and some other things like it. So when I wanted a Jeep, right, all I saw was Jeeps. Everywhere I went, there was a Jeep. Even before that, I saw this pretty blue color car that I was gonna buy on the lot, but they told me that the car was gonna be $900 a month, and I needed to put $900 down. But after that, that's all I saw was that color blue car in every type of vehicle that you could think of, all I saw was this blue car. Because that's what my subconscious mind was thinking on. That's
Mhm.
what I was looking to see was that blue car. If we can take our minds and do those things with the positive things, imagine how further along we could be. And if we could take our negative thoughts off of our community
Mhm.
and not be those crabs in the bucket. Like, you're not gonna get ahead of me. You're not gonna get ahead of me. Why, child? Let me help you push your product. Not in that way. Not in that way. But let me help you push your business. Let me help you push you. Here you go. Here go a step ladder. Step on. Get to the next level. And then pull me up when you come. Because I'm down here making sure. Because when I get there, I'm going to pull you up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we think they should be for free too. It's all about the mental. You know, everything is about the mental. And if we keep it unhealthy, we keep it clogged, we don't have clarity, we can't think straight, we're putting the things in our body that's making us sluggish, and we can't sleep, and we can't get up, and we can't eat, and we can't walk. Well, what do we need to do? You know what I'm saying? What is the prescription? Get your mental together. That's the prescription. I'm not Dr. Clark. I ain't the real Dr. Clark. You know, I wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't make it to the PhD level. I'm a PhD in my own mind. I just said the prescription is get your mental together. Do the work.
Look at it
Therapy
this way.
is work.
You said something. Just imagine if just imagine how many people that is attached to us that we are standing in their way because our clarity, we don't have any clarity.
Exactly.
We're not in that space where we can truly identify. Just imagine that.
My mama.
One of the things that I'm sorry. One of the things that Marquita used to say, and I'm not sure if she know how profound it was.
Don't you do it, because I was just about to talk about
it. She said that everyone attached to me shall win.
Oh,
and I don't know how profound she really thought those words were, but that thing resonated in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it resonated within me. If she just talk about those that she connected to, and I'm connected to her, so that means that everyone that's connected to me is affected and affected
Right.
by me.
By how I show up.
How I show up, my actions, the way that I think about them, not so much how I act towards them, but just the thoughts that I had for them. Because the word of God says, the plans that I had for you, you know, and it's we have to put that same thing in our concept,
in ourselves,
because the plans that we have for other people are in our thoughts. And if we are of God, then we make things happen the same way in their lives, the way that we think it.
So what I was going to say was, my apostle and my mother, my spiritual mother, and this mother, my natural mother, my mother that gave me birth, always said, this life is not just about you. You know, it's about the others. And then when what she's talking about, it started last year. I mean, I used to say it like a while ago, right? And I will honestly say a while ago, I didn't understand what I was saying. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until last year that I really started to understand what I was saying when I say those that are attached to me are going to win. Those that are attached to me will be in good health. Those that are attached to me, because I'm winning, they winning. Right? Like, I didn't understand that until last year. And even today, there are still pieces of that I don't fully gather, but I'm beginning to see how it's falling together, how those that are attached to me are truly winning, like they are succeeding, they are being blessed, they are doing what they're supposed to do. They're walking in new territory. Their feet are in places that they never thought they would be. Their names are in places where they never thought their names would be at. Money is coming to them and they didn't know it was coming. Even now, as I say it, I believe somebody is getting the answer. You know what I'm saying? I am learning to have that crazy faith, right? And it's because I'm changing my mindset. Like we did a session on shifting your mindset and what happened to make you shift your mindset. We need to do a part 2 because we couldn't even get down into the nitty gritty of what happened, right? And because I shifted my mindset, because I'm starting to gain clarity, because I'm looking at life in a whole new way, I'm on a different level. I'm going to different places, right? It's not because of me, it's not for me only, right? It's so that I could tell somebody else and so that they can get some clarity, so that they can start to shift their mindset and they can start shifting their thoughts. Because when they shift their thoughts, like things will start to line up. You know, your body will start to line up. You'll start thinking, oh, I don't feel no pain today. I don't know where that came from. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got, like how they be saying, they got their Megan knees back. In their mind, they was doing the thing. Now, we all get, oh, you gonna feel that pain, but hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just talking about the mind and mental health is not like this one little butterfly type of thing that we can put together and say, oh, it's just a mental health discussion. No, it's a whole life discussion. You know, every discussion has led up to and has been about the same. We talked about self-care. We talked about shifting your mindset. We talked about being business owners. You know what I'm saying? We've had this mental health discussion. We did a Q&A yesterday. But if you look at the whole thing, and if anybody ever go back and watch all of the discussions, everything is flowing into the same thing. And there's no order that I could have put this in to be like, it needs to go this way, right? But we started with self-care because when you learn that you have to take care of yourself first, then everything else will fall into place. Because we talked about how we say you need to take care of others and then it'll happen for you. But how can it happen for you if you're not healed? You're not in a place of healing. You're not in a place of being healed. You're not in a place to understand that you need healing. You're in a place of, I can do this all on my own. I don't need no help, but I can help them. But all the while on the inside, you are falling apart. You are deteriorating. Things are happening and you cannot understand why. Because you're doing it by yourself. Because your mental is not there. You know? So
it is so important in our bodies, physical bodies. Nothing happens until the brain sends the signal to the body.
Preach, preacher.
So how is it that I want to get my life together without dealing with my mind first? If my mind is correct, if I'm thinking correctly, if I'm thinking clearly, then it's going to send the signals to every part of my being, my spirit, my body, my soul. I will be that entrepreneur. I will be that person that can take care of myself because my body is sending signals saying that now that you're healed, now you can do these things. It's simple as that. It's the Bible says, "So is a man thinking, so is he." So how is it that we can do? We figure that we can do everything else except for dealing with our mind, our mental issues, our mental capacity. You may be able to do it, but it won't last. Like I said, I went to counseling. I went to the counseling because of incidents. And I thought I got better because I went to counseling because of incidents. No, now this is a routine now. I have a schedule. Just like I schedule my doctor's appointments, just like I schedule dental appointments, just like I schedule date nights, just like I schedule anything. It is, I'm scheduling this. Why? Because I need this continually. It's not because of incidents. And I think a lot of times, as in the Black and Brown community, we think we go there because of incident, and once that incident is over, then I don't need it anymore. But we never got down to the root cause and root problems of things, because it was all about, I went to therapy because I got in a fight. I went to therapy because it was court order. I went to therapy because it was this. So all of that, I only did it just to check off the box. What At my job, I tell my associates that I serve, and the way I say I serve, because that's how the lead. When they're on the phones, I tell them, don't just check the boxes off, because people can hear when you check the boxes or when you're sincere. I'm telling you guys that are listening and looking at it now, don't just go to therapy to check the box off. Go there with a sincere heart to say, I want to change. I want to be better. Because then we're going to be in this, like you said, Marquita, a cycle of, okay, I get better, I'm back in trouble again. Get better, back in trouble again. Don't know why. So, yeah.
Then we're crying and snotting everywhere because we can't get it together and we can't figure it out. But we had the keys already.
We praying to
He has
God, Lord.
given us the tools, every tool that we need. God has given it to us. But we don't use the tools. We always trying to hammer stuff when it calls for a screwdriver. We use the ratchet when we need a hammer. I don't know the thing, a wrench. Shut up. It's a wretched soul like me that God has saved. But you know, the thing is that we use the wrong tools to try to fix what we need fixed. We are always doing something that we should not be doing.
Who's that?
Well, this discussion has been so good. I have so enjoyed it. We are definitely going to have to do a part 2 because we are nearing in on our time. And before we leave, Phillip, if you would like to give people your social media handles, if you would like for them to follow you, then you can definitely do so. If not, that's okay as well. And, you know, if you want to do some speaking engagements, because I believe that you're going higher, there's a reason for you to have to do that, because somebody got to go into the communities to say, hey, look, I'm a man. I'm a real boy.
Damon.
And this is my journey. And this is how I overcame, because how can you reach the masses if nobody can find you?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook at Phillip Davis. Follow me on Instagram at PMyCle15. That's PMYCLE 15. Once again, it's PMYCLE at 15 on Instagram. That means I got to start being more active on my social media again.
You definitely do. And you have you got the professional voice for it, and that is once again is PMyCle, PMYCLE at whatever it was.com. You know, you got the voice for it. And moderator, Miss Clark, mommy dearest, if you would like to get people to follow you also, because you got more work for you to do also, and there's a work for you to do.
Yeah, praise God. I am Ethel Clark on Facebook. I'm rarely on my Instagram. So I am Ethel Clark on Facebook.
Go and follow the good people. Ethel Clark does more than what she says and more than what she puts out there. She is a exec board member for Mac Mentoring. She is my HR person, my go-to person. She has been helping me to drive this thing, so don't let her fool you. She got some power in her also. And she is also becoming a coach. So I don't know what her problem is or why she's not putting herself out there, because baby, here's the step stool. I'm helping you to get to your neck so that you can go on and pull me up, because I'm going to be there waiting. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said before in the beginning, if you catch this on the replay, put in hashtag replay. Also, engage in the replay. We will come and answer your questions. Once again, you can follow us on all social media platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Mac Mentoring, MAQ Mentoring, and tune in next week at 7 o'clock, same time, same place, and we will be discussing effective communication. And guess who's going to be a panelist? Our good old Ethel Clark. She's not going to be a moderator. She is going to be a panelist. So I hope to see you guys tuning in with us next week. And thanks again for chatting with Matt.